Life is about seeing people. Life is about loving. Life is about celebrating. Life is about enjoying. Life is about interacting. And now we get back to living in life. The state mandates that have proven right and correct and brought us through this pandemic are relaxed as of today.
Yeah, proven correct. He's delusional. Anyway, fireworks lit up the night sky over New York earlier this week to celebrate the fact that 70% of adults in New York have received at least one dose of coronavirus vaccine. The milestone triggered most of the state's pandemic restrictions to be lifted, including social distancing, many masking rules, and capacity restrictions. So, is that it? Is New York really back? Is it open for business the way it should be? And what's going to happen for the politicians who are in charge here? Joining me now, radio talk show host on 710 WOR, Mr. New York himself, Mark Simone. Mark, good to see you.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. I mean, I'm here in New York. You're here in New York. We're maybe a story that the rest of the country is looking at insofar as we're the biggest city, and now we're supposed to be open. First off, what do you make of Cuomo's the state mandates were right and now they're gone move? I thought that was quite a moment.
Well, I think he is brilliant at overacting. He went to the school of overdo it. You know, he thinks the louder you talk, the more true it must be. So if, he can't just say, well, we came through it already. We came through it all right. And he just keeps yelling louder and louder as if that makes it correct. He was an absolute disaster. He locked down a few weeks too late. You know about the nursing homes where he killed 15,000 people. His restaurants reopening was way too slow. He's wiped out so many businesses in New York. Had we not had him, and by the way, he used to be on the phone with Fauci 2-3 days a week. They were very close. So a lot of this wrong advice, I'm sure we can blame Dr. Fauci for. He's the last to reopen here in the tri-state area. Connecticut's been wide open for 3 months, so I'm just glad he finally did it.
It's amazing too that it seems, and I have to give you credit. You have said, we've had you on this show, and you and I have been talking about this now for the last at least 8 or 9 months, where it was clear that Cuomo wasn't the hero that they were pretending he was. But you always said, this guy knows the system. He knows how to stay in power. You got Gavin Newsom out in California facing a serious recall effort. It looks to me right now, I'd give someone 5-1 betting odds that Cuomo runs for re-election. And I'd give them, I'd actually give better than 50-50 odds that he wins re-election at this point. What do you think?
No, not at all. He's got bad stuff coming. I know he's holding fundraisers, but that has nothing to do with re-election. He's got to raise himself millions of dollars, because once he's out of office, you get to keep all that money, and for the rest of your life, that pays for your office, your car, your driver, your secretary. So that's why he's raising all this money. This Attorney General's report, even if it's not criminal, it'll come out in September. It'll be extremely damaging. And the U.S. Attorney they've expanded this investigation. It's been going for months. These U.S. attorneys don't go this far unless they think they got something, because they keep track of their final score. They don't want to lose cases. So the fact that they're still going and expanding means there's something coming from the U.S. Attorney's office.
So let me make sure that I'm clear on what you think at this point, Mark. So you're saying, does he make it through this term in office?
Well, the only good news for him is these, as you've seen with Durham and these other U.S. Attorney, Justice Department, takes them forever. So, but hopefully in the fall, something will happen. He absolutely, you could argue the nursing home's a mistake, but he absolutely covered it up, doctored numbers, withheld numbers. There's no way he escapes some kind of charge, even if it's minor.
You don't think he's going to, and you don't think he's a real shot at winning re-election? I mean, I would say that one's closer to 50-50, but this guy should have had to resign months and months ago, and you said he's going to raise millions of dollars. They might get him in September. You really think he's going to lose? If he wins re-election, we're going to have you come on and sing a Cuomo tune.
I don't think he's going to. When you see these public polls, these cheap little public polls, always at 54, 55%, the metrics are all screwed up in these polls. It's only 23% Republicans in the sample. Should be 36. So if they say he's at 55, he's at 42, and that's not enough for re-election. Also, you got really strong candidates up against him.
And let's talk about the mayor's race. At least we can definitely agree that de Blasio is awful. Although I don't know if he's the worst mayor in the country. I mean, you see some Lori Lightfoot situations recently. You see what's going on with that guy, I can't remember his name, out in Portland, but de Blasio is certainly high on the list. This is, for the biggest city in the country, a mayor's race underway right now. Crime is pretty much the biggest issue. I mean, yeah, economics, that's always a big issue, the economy, but crime is really important right now. Adams leads the New York City Democratic mayoral primary, 28%. Yang, we all know him from when he ran, 19%. Catherine Garcia, 13%. Donovan, 9%. Maya Wiley, 7%. I mean, is it really just a Yang versus Adams race at this point? And what do you think of, I mean, is there anyone in this field that's going to make the city better?
Yeah, Curtis
on the Democrat side.
He's the Republican.
Right.
One thing about Adams, he is saying all the right things on crime. Everybody that's known this guy in the police department says, don't trust him for a second. So even though he's saying the right things, we don't know if he means it. They got this stupid rank choice voting where you pick 5 candidates, 5 choices, and under some of the mathematical models, if it goes to round 11 or 12, believe it or not, Garcia wins those rounds. So we have to hope it's decided earlier. Yang seems to be fading. We had a debate last night. We'll see if he turned it around. But and Adams should be out of it with his. It turns out he lives in New Jersey. All this other stuff he got caught on. But for some reason, people are sticking with him.
If you have to have a Democrat of it, I mean, are you a Curtis Sliwa guy on the Republican side? Is that fair to say? Is he your guy?
Absolutely. He's nobody better at crime fighting, and he's got Rudy backing him, and that's who you want advising him on how to fix the police and the crime in New York.
I mean, you're a resident here, so am I. The crime, the numbers are just mind-blowing. It's been really sad to see what's happened last year. Hopefully we can start to turn it around. Is Eric Adams the guy if you have to have a Democrat?
Well, the good news, and this is important to remember if you're all upset about this, de Blasio is the worst mayor in the history of New York. It couldn't be anybody worse. So no matter what happens, it can't get any worse. So we're at rock bottom now. I guess that's the good news. It can only go up. And Adams is a former cop, former police captain, although he kind of left in questionable circumstances there. But it can't be as bad as de Blasio.
All right, Mark, right now on air, I'm going to say this. If Cuomo makes it to the end of his term and wins re-election, I want a fancy plate of a pasta where they take the truffles, and they shave it. That'll on you, all right? You got a deal?
All right.
And the same in reverse. If he loses re-election and if he runs and loses, I owe you one, all right?
Oh, by that time, you'll be the biggest national radio star in the world. We won't even be able to get a hold of you anymore. You'll be no talking.
Yeah, I wish. I'll trust me, I'll appreciate that fancy pasta. Good to see you, Mark. Thanks for joining us.
Take care. Thanks.